It is February 9th, and I'm going to plant a sweet potato. I'm just going to use regular starting mix because I tried with my regular soil and it was too rich. So I'll just use regular soil from the store. Bury it a little bit, I don't know, halfway. Alright, we'll give it some water and come back in a week or two and see what happens. I'm going to make sure to keep the soil moist, but definitely not drenched, because I've had a couple of these rot on me because they were too wet. Alright, I give it a good drink of water, and I also soaked this potato overnight in a bucket of water. I'm hoping that'll have loosened things up and maybe it'll expedite the process, but we'll see. It is February 22nd, and I've pretty much given up on the other sweet potatoes. So I bought some Japanese sweet potatoes that are made for sprouting because the other ones just weren't coming up. So I got these soaking in a bowl of water overnight, and I'm going to plant them in a plastic container in the dirt to try to grow some slips. And see here, the other ones that I started like a month ago, they're just not doing anything. They're very, they might have some roots on the bottom that are like a half an inch, but they won't do anything besides that. Then here's this bigger one. See, it has a little tiny root down here. That's about it. These have been sitting here for a month, so. All right, we're gonna try again because the other ones weren't working. I'm gonna try again with the Japanese sweet potatoes, Murasaki. So I'm just gonna put it in the dirt, bury it a little bit, not all the way, of course. Maybe this way, and then see if I can get some slips. Hopefully it's not too late. It is March 12th. I finally got a sweet potato slip growing on this sweet potato that I planted on January 22nd, right there. So if I were to do this again, I would try to get slips maybe 6 months earlier instead of just, 3 months, because these need a long time to sprout. It is March 28th, and we finally got some action on this sweet potato. I got this nice looking slip here. I got another one here, and I got one there, one here, there. So I planted this thing in this little container on January 22nd. So it took a long time. And this is a Japanese sweet potato, the Murasaki. And there is one, I got a sprout right here, right there. That only took about a month to come up. This one took a couple months. Back at the sweet potatoes on April 7th, and we got quite a bit of growth here. This is the one I planted on January 22nd. It took forever to finally sprout, but it grew. I count about 6 slips. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then these are my Japanese sweet potatoes. They only took a month to come up. The ones I got in the store took 2 months to even sprout. This one I probably got at least 6 slips. And then here's another Japanese sweet potato. So what happened was, as soon as the weather started heating up, they started sprouting. So it has to be warm for these to even sprout. So I don't know if it's even worthwhile to start them early in January when it's cold. If I were to do it again, I would start the summer prior and get a nice big bushy house plant going, and then plant sweet potatoes the next year from that house plant. Turn one of these potatoes into a big giant bush, and then get the sprouts off of that. Back at the sweet potatoes on April 22nd, and I think they are ready to put in a bucket of water to develop the roots, and then I can plant them in the ground in a week or so. These are my Japanese Murasaki sweet potatoes, and yeah, there's a lot on there. There's probably 10 on this one. There's probably 10 on this one over here. Looks good. And yeah, so what I do, I'm just gonna go in here and snap off these sprouts, like this one right here. Put them in water. All right, let's do this sprout right here. Snap that off, just like that. And then it should grow roots where here, and I'll put that in the red bucket. We'll snap this guy off down here. Try to get the roots if you can, but if you can't, they'll grow. There you go. And I just put that in water. All right, so after a few minutes of plucking off our sweet potato slips, this is what I got from the grocery store sweet potatoes, and this is what I got from my Japanese Murasaki sweet potatoes. A whole lot here. In here there's probably 12, in here there's probably 6, in here there's only 5. So the other Japanese ones grew a lot better. And I planted these in January. These I planted like in February or March or something, so these work better. The ones from the grocery store, they're a little harder to sprout, and they didn't start taking off. Neither of them started taking off until it got warm. They just don't want to grow in January. They don't want to grow in February. It needs to be, probably at least, 75 degrees or so. They don't want to sprout when it's 50. Even in the house, they didn't sprout. So I'll just let them sit in this water. They'll develop roots for the next few days or a week or so, and then I'll put them in the ground and start the season. It is May 2nd, and I think it's time to plant my sweet potato slips in this little space over here. They've been soaking in water for over a week now to develop roots, and I think they have enough roots. So what I'm going to do, I think I'll dig a trench like here, and then I'm going to be very generous with my homemade bone meal made out of crushed chicken bones and pork bones, beef bones, stuff like that, because these guys like to feed on phosphorus. And we'll do, I don't know, 12-inch spacing, because I don't have a lot of room. I planted too many tomatoes again. So I'll start by digging a trench. This is bone meal from an old ham bone, and that should feed the sweet potatoes nicely. And the ground has been tilled pretty deeply with my hay fork. I went deeper than the tiller ever could. So I'm going to be very generous with this stuff, because I know they like it. I'm going to start with the Japanese Murasaki sweet potato slips here. Develop pretty nice roots on them. So I think they're ready. So I guess I'll start about here. Dig a little hole and just shove it in the ground until it gets to the highest root. And we'll do the next one, and I'll cover them up last. This is a really nice root system on this guy. So we'll space these 12 or so inches apart. I don't have a lot of room, so it's gonna have to do. Put that in there. And then I'll continue doing this and get back when I fill the row in. Alright, I got the row in. Now I'm going to bury them. I put a little bone meal, a little extra bone meal in each hole. So let me just fill in this trench now. Alright, they're buried, they're standing up, they look okay. Now I'll put another row in here, I guess. And I'm going to try to do a 3-foot spacing, which is going to be about here. Okay, I got 2 rows in. This one and this one. Definitely can't fit 3 in here. So now the most important part, keep them watered. Get those roots developed in the soil as soon as possible. It is May 22nd and we're back at the Japanese sweet potatoes. And they're slowly growing. Looks like they're pretty well established in the ground now. See, it's growing these long things. Not bad, just keep them watered. I water pretty much every day, and deeply too. Now we just pretty much wait and keep them watered. That's about all I can do. June 2nd, we're back at the sweet potatoes, and they are starting to send out little runners to the side. See? So they're really taking off. They're pretty much established now. I've been giving them a lot of water, probably once a day. And yeah, they're getting bigger. June 2nd. It's July 7th, 2025. We're back at the sweet potato patch. And they have grown all the way in. They're sending out runners everywhere. And they are fully established. I could barely even walk in here. I could step here and that's about it. Look at those. Cool looking leaves. Now we just wait. I would say sometime in September. Alright, it is August 11th and we're back at the sweet potato patch. They're big. We're around a day 100 approximately. And I think these Murasaki sweet potatoes are supposed to go for around 120 days. So we're getting close. And over there, they're probably around 2 feet tall. And the runners that have been escaping my little fenced area here, I've just been eating those in a stir fry. They're delicious. So like a strong tasting spinach. Alright, a few more weeks. We're back at the sweet potatoes and it is September 1st and we are around day 120. Maybe even a little more than 120. So these are Murasaki sweet potatoes and they take 120 days to harvest. So I guess we better start digging and see what we got. And I just have to find the main stem of the plant. It looks like it's around here. Yeah, there's the stem. See that? So I will just put my pitchfork. Here's the main stem. I'll put my pitchfork at least a foot back and then just rock it toward me and bring them up. And the ground's soft because I watered yesterday. So here we go. All right, loosen it up a little bit. Let's see what we got. Oh, there you go. Not bad. I was hoping for a little bigger than that. But we'll see what else is in there. Another one. Oh, there you go. That's okay. I want a football-sized one. Well, I don't see any foot. Here's another one. I don't see any footballs. Here's another one. Well, that's not bad. I mean, that's just one plant. Oh, there's more. Thought they'd be a little bigger than that. Yeah, and I watered these a lot. I flooded them probably 3 days a week, if not more. Okay, well, I don't have any footballs here, but I got this many. And that's just off of one plant. 1, 2, 3, 4. I should weigh these. Well, that one was 2 1/4 pounds. So, a little less than I expected, but maybe that was a smaller one. All right, I dug up 4 plants. So far, this is the biggest one, and some of these, the larger ones, have splits in them. So I'm hoping that'll heal up during the curing process. That's a nice one. See another split, but it's already starting to scab over. These got damaged with my pitchfork. So when I cure these, I'm gonna put them in a separate container. I'll put the damaged one in a separate bin. Yeah, 10 1/4 pounds. All right, I'll keep going. This is from one plant. Nice looking potato. See, this is what I expected them all to look like. And this one plant I got over 6.5 pounds. Not bad. Let's have a look. Yeah, about the same size. I haven't got any footballs yet. Oh, come on. There you go. All right, there's that one. Now we'll do this one. Alright, here's all I got. And we're going to do a weigh-in. We'll subtract a couple pounds for the plastic. Put this one on top. That looks like about 30 pounds minus the plastic. Okay, so yeah, we got all that harvested. 30 pounds. Now we have to cure them. Okay, now it is time to cure the sweet potatoes to make them sweet and to make them storable. So what I'm going to do, since they have to be stored in an environment of 80 degrees and 80% humidity, this is a garage. It's really hot in here. In the summer, it's probably about 95, 100 degrees right now. So what I'm going to do, I have the heat, so what I'm going to do to make this humid, I'm just going to put a bowl of water inside this plastic bin, and I'll put a lid on it, and then just put the potatoes around it. And then I've tried this before, it gets really steamy in here, especially when you leave the lid on. So that should be good, and we'll leave that for 10 days. Okay, on second thought, I decided to use a taller jar of water because I'm going to stack all these potatoes up, and then this little bowl wasn't tall enough. So the potatoes should go up to about here when I'm done. All right, they're all in. We're going to give these 10 days in a high heat, high humidity environment, 80 degrees, 80% humidity. Put this lid on, it gets really steamy in there. And we'll check them every couple days to make sure nothing bad's going on, no mold, no bugs, you know. All right. All right, we're at the sweet potato cure, the curing sweet potatoes on about 9 days later. And instead of that plastic jar I switched it out with just one of these because I didn't need as much water as I thought. It was getting real humid in there, and the sides were starting to sweat and getting the potato skin all wet. So I put them in one of these crates here with lots of air holes, and that seemed to work pretty well. And then to wick up the excess moisture, I just put some newspaper on top of the potatoes here to wick up the excess moisture in there. So here they are. Not as big as I would have liked, but what can you do? So I'm just going to store these in the garage right here in one of these crates because it has lots of air holes. And I think it was a little too moist in that chamber that I had earlier because some of them are starting to grow slips. We don't want that. But for the most part, they're okay. No mold except for on the ones with a wound like this. See the ones that were like cut in half? I had some fuzzy mold on there, but no mold on the sweet potatoes that are fully intact and covered in skin. So there you go. That's it. I just let it sit there in the garage and use them when I need to use them. That's all, folks. Thanks for watching.